Thank you. The Super Bowl is going to be held here this year, and I'm rooting for the Saints, by the way. I like New Orleans. I'm not here to sneer and mock.
Be a traveler, not a tourist. Drink heavily with strangers.
Jaeger shots? Oh, yeah.
Have unprotected sex with strangers.
It is a town about excess. It's a town where fried batter is a main course. I have no regrets. Man, that's good. Where drinking at 7 o'clock in the morning is perfectly acceptable. Cheers, by the way.
Cheers.
Jazz,
Baseball.
blues, rock and roll.
Yeah.
New Orleans has always been there to say, you know, you should live a little.
There is no other place on earth, even remotely, like New Orleans. Don't even try to compare it to anywhere else. Even trying to describe it is tricky, as chances are, no matter how much you love it, you don't really know it. No last call at bars, lots and lots of great food. We know that. Locals who are, well, uniquely wonderful. There's an attitude here that defies all setbacks, all the things wrong with this fabulously and famously up city, that defies logic in the very best possible ways.
The proper way to say the name of my city is New Orleans.
New Orleans.
New Orleans.
New Orleans.
It's not New Orleans, it's New Orleans.
The only time you ever hear somebody say New Orleans is if they're not from here, they're trying to rhyme in a song.
It's 4 p.m. and I just arrived at Louis Armstrong International Airport. A taxi in a town is around $30. Public transportation in New Orleans, like pretty much everything administered by politicians or bureaucrats here, is, well, spotty at best. So plan to walk, rent a car, or take one of the many cheap and awesome cabs in the city. Drivers here, particularly guys who drive for institutions like United, have seen it all, so they know what to do. I've hired my old friend Elliot Flood for the next 36 hours, because we make a television, bitches, and that's how we do.
On the barrier, it says, what is it, $150 charge for vomiting in the cab. They had different prices.
Oh, yeah.
$150 for vomiting in the cab. I like that they state the price up front, though. So it's like you can kind of decide, hey, I have that. You know, I can afford that.
I can afford that. I just go ahead.
New Orleans, the French Quarter. Yeah, and go right ahead, it's fun. But the outer neighborhoods of New Orleans are where you should be going. Maybe do like me and stay in the Quarter at a swankadelic I'm on TV kind of hotel like the Ritz-Carlton. Or if you want to avoid the madness, chesticles, and projectile vomiting of the Quarter altogether, you could stay at like Loft 523, a modern boutique-y style place in the Central Business District, or CBD. Locally owned, comprised of 18 studio loft apartments rather than traditional hotel rooms. Or there's the International House Hotel, an old Beaux-Arts bank building that's been made over into a more modern space. Loa, the lobby bar, is great for fans of modern mixology, and it's also locally owned, not part of a chain. Me, I'm taking a taxi to Lake Pontchartrain, where there's a series of shacks and camps along the water where you can get some real good stuff to eat.
What does it say about me that, like, every time I see, like, a road like this, I'm thinking, this would make a good body dump?
It's worth the trip out here. What a lot of people do that live in New Orleans, you know, they'll take a ride out here and try these different little restaurants.
Louis Lips owns this crab shack, where he boils freshly caught shrimp and crabs straight out of the lake. And he cooks them just right. There's crab and shrimp, and then there's perfectly cooked crab and shrimp, okay? This is perfect.
They just got to have their fix. That's all.
Who could possibly have turned me on to this wonderful place? This guy, of course, Donald Lake.
Hey, Tony.
How you
What's
doing?
happening, man? Just looking over the menu here.
Donald is the chef owner of a number of New Orleans' best restaurants. Cochon, Cochon Butcher, and his flagship, Herb Saint. Always inspired by his grandparents' Cajun cooking, he's been working that cuisine in with French and Italian and modern influences to make wonderful things happen at the table.
So let me ask you, why here? Why'd you pick this joint?
I grew up in South Louisiana, in Lake Charles. My dad and I used to go crabbing in the canals out there with alligators and shrimping, and there's this feel that you get of this kind of on the water. This is where it comes from. So it's just a matter of, you know, this connection that they have with their source. I mean, this place is like your friends are here and you're cooking for them.
Yep. So how's New Orleans doing? How's business? How's the city?
I'll tell you, I think since I saw you last, this city has become just a different city. It's alive, it's busy. It feels like the city it should have always been.
So that's like good news, because the conventional wisdom up north is, man, New Orleans, really then they got again, and you lost, what percentage of your population?
God, it's all debatable. Maybe. A lot, that's to say.
But you're saying, on balance, things are pretty good.
I mean, there's still areas in town that need some work. It was a fundraiser that we did to build some homes out in the 9th Ward, and I think that the hurricane brought a lot of awareness to the city. And it made people want to focus on the school system and focus on the infrastructure, and our mayor is great right now. The tourists love coming here. I love that New Orleans is growing in a way that retains its soul.
There will be no Disneyfication of New Orleans?
Doesn't look that way.
The locals won't put up with it.
Well, New Orleans has always been a place where different people live together, very close proximity, and different cultures and class and race, and it all just seems to work.
Yeah, we talk about that a lot in New York, but we don't actually do that. Oh, yeah, that's looking pretty attractive.
They call this barbecue shrimp, but here it means big-ass Gulf shrimp in butter, black pepper, and spices.
Wow.
I'm gonna try the shrimp. They look good.
Now, what's that, Worcestershire? Garlic?
Worcestershire, garlic, butter, lots of black pepper, a little rosemary probably. I love the seasoning.
Yeah.
And look at the peel on this shrimp. It's just clean.
Oh, this flies right off. Damn, that's good.
This food has balls. It's got flavor. It's messy. It's dirty. That's my life in a bite.
You know you got a Jedi Master back there.
It does not get much better than this, my friends. But you could always go to Butcher, Link's newest location in the Warehouse District, featuring Cajun-inflected, Cajun-inspired, and straight-up Cajun sausages and cured meats. And if you're not already a fan of the classic New Orleans muffaletta sandwich, this would be a great place to get with the program, open your mind and your mouth wide. Or how about Dookie Chase's in the Treme? This place is an institution. Everybody comes here. Families, famous faces, politicians, bagmen, regular folks looking for fried chicken, shrimp clemenceau, jambalaya, red beans, and rice. Leah Chase rejected the respectable lifestyle planned for her, married Edgar Dookie Chase, and began running the kitchen for her mother-in-law. It's been nothing but love from New Orleans since.
Yeah, my daughter can be somewhat finicky, but this is her dish right here. These barbecue crabs, I mean, she could tear through 3 orders of this stuff.
I always feel like I'm engaged in some sort of battle of the wills with a crab. It's like, you're trying to hide from me, but you are so sly, but so am I.
It's like a game to see how much meat I can get on this swimmer leg.
Good. It is genuinely delicious.
God, it really is, man.
The crab trap, we've since found out, was flooded out during Hurricane Isaac in August of 2012. Louis says he will not be reopening by the time this show is aired, but we can only hope for the future.
The biggest mistake tourists make is they go right to the French Quarter and don't get to see the whole city of New Orleans.
If you're not dealing drugs, you're probably safe pretty much anywhere.
Get on a streetcar and take it all the way up down St. Charles Avenue and see the city for what it really is.
Activities other than food and drink? Meh.
Who goes to New Orleans to eat, drink a hell of a lot, see a lot of great music, and then go mountain biking or, it's not like the exercise capital of the world, right?
The sun sets and it's time for a classic cocktail. The Central Business District is just up from the Quarter, and there you can find the Roosevelt Hotel, which houses the Sazerac Bar, a place with about as much history as the cocktail it's named for.
What are you drinking, sir?
I'm drinking the Sazerac.
Davis Rogan is a 5th-generation New Orleanian.
Well, she had great big breasts and a really small dog, and I'm sitting at the staring like a bump on the lawn.
He's a former DJ turned jazz pianist who along the way inspired the Davis McAlary character on the series Treme. I write for that show, by the way. Just saying.
Cause I was so proud. I got strippers moving in my neighborhood. I got strippers moving in my neighborhood. Well, you can call it gentrification. I'm gonna call it good. Cheers, sir. Santé.
So you were a... Oh, that's good.
I was a line cook for 6 months.
For Emerald.
For Hair Emerald and the Empire. Yes, I worked for the Empire. I went from pantry to fry station to desserts. I think I made it as far as hot apps before I discovered that line cooks make less money than musicians and work harder than teachers.
Yes.
It made absolutely no sense.
You were on the rocket to the top there. You were on the fast track to success in the Legacy Empire. And
ran screaming.
I have, however, definitely written a few lines, not many, for the character
Davis.
Loosely
Based on inspired by, but the character is a bit of a douche who can't really play or sing.
The first rule of television is when you enter any kind of a relationship with the bitch goddess television, her first order of business is never making you look good. That's true for me as well. They're just hoping I'll choke on my food or soil myself, because that would be considered good TV.
Make you look like an idiot, add 20 pounds, things of this nature.
But your character is the most direct and passionate advocate for all things New Orleans. Would you say
and
that's
that is
true
that
of
is
you
that
as
is
well?
accurate.
This place is perfect, but if you must stay in the French Quarter, go check out French 75 Bar, part of old school institution Arnaud's restaurant. It's just far enough off Bourbon Street that locals still come for a proper drink and the classic vibe of Dino-era French restaurant. Naturally, the French 75 is on the menu, a Prohibition-style cocktail made from cognac and champagne. More 21st century bar with food? Try Happy Hour at Bourdain, the latest joint from John Besh, focusing on the Spanish influences in traditional New Orleans food. But in my case, I'm having a second Sazerac, please.
I think I was 9 or 10 when it became my job, when my grandparents visited, that I made the Sazeracs.
So let me ask you,
Sure.
It's the only place in America that I can think of where young people listen to, or at least are very familiar with, the same music that their parents listen to.
Yes.
What is this reverence for the past? I mean, or at least a respect for tradition.
Or maybe just disappointment with the modern. Where I grew up, there was a cemetery here and a church here, and there were funeral processions with a jazz band going past my street. You know, that's what I saw. Well, honestly, I had my high school period where I did nothing but listen to punk rock and had a certain amount of disdain for all that old-timey that I grew up on. And then I went away to college. I went over to Portland, Oregon, and discovered how terribly white the rest of the world is, and that the Grateful Dead is an organized religion. And I just ran screaming for my Professor Longhair and my Meters records and never
So
looked back.
we would agree on this, that the Grateful Dead were not a positive force in the universe.
There isn't enough acid in the town of Berkeley to make the Grateful Dead interesting. It just...
I'm with you.
Okay.
My favorite all-time saying from New Orleans, I'm going to make groceries. That means I'm going to the grocery store.
When you're talking about your family, you say, my mom and them.
How's your mom and them? It means, how's your family?
My favorite word is lagniappe. When you go somewhere, lagniappe is just a little bit of something else. You don't get a dozen donuts, you get 13. You always get a little bit extra.
2 drinks in, and it's clearly time for some food. Davis and I head for Cochon.
Now, you've never eaten here before, which
This
is
is
incredible to me.
So it's première fois?
Cochon is where Donald Link and Steven Strajewski allow guests to share their passion for roots Cajun and Southern home cooking. We're not talking donut burgers or deep-fried freaking stuffing. We're talking food that actual grandmothers once made, somewhat tweaked for restaurant service, of course. Cochon is French for pig, and there's lots of it here.
5 single dishes left to eat in New Orleans before somebody shoots you in the back of the head.
Stewed tomato and okra.
Stewed tomato and okra, that's okay.
Yeah. A gumbo.
Gumbo,
Big-ass pile of crawfish.
right?
Some fried oysters and some raw oysters.
Wow, unusual. No red beans and rice.
I've had plenty of that. Born and raised on it. You know, I mean, as a child, once you've learned how to make toast, making red beans is the first recipe that you attack as when you're 10 or 11 years old.
What street would you walk down in your lab just prior to you walk down Frenchman Street? What's the first thing you miss, or the thing you miss most fiercely?
The no happy, laissez-faire attitude of the people, plus we all speak English. I love to travel. I love to go to other places and play my music for the other people in the world, but I couldn't exist anyplace else. No one else would have me.
Who is the ideal New Orleanian?
Here's what I love about John Boutté. John Boutte did the theme song for the Treme show. John Boutte got a decent chunk of change. Is John Boutte out there traveling the world working all the time? No. He said, well, I got paid, I'm going to work less. He paid off his mama's house and proceeded to just take fewer of the gigs because he didn't need them. And just the, you know, it's work smarter, not
If he
harder.
walks down the street, are people yelling out their windows?
Everyone loves John Boutte. Yes.
So what about those people who genuinely were saying, why rebuild New Orleans? Why should we care?
We gave you red beans and rice. We gave you jazz. We provide you with 30% of your oil, and we never see a dime of that. And to take it back to some simple French catchphrases, joie de vivre and laissez-faire. And everyone could use a little bit more of these in your life. New Orleans needs to be kept around so we can keep bringing you that soul.
We start with Bourdain, a sausage of pork parts, and rice.
Oh yeah, look at that Bourdain. So meaty. That's delicious. Right? Good stuff.
With that, some breaded pork cheeks.
Now that's just converting an air quote trash piece of the pig into something incredibly beautiful.
That's a boutique cut of meat now. That's a little pig.
The poor people had something honest, didn't they? Eating the cheeks and the sea bass.
Another place in town that worships the pig is Boucherie, named after the small-town rural Cajun tradition of pig slaughter followed by a feast. Boucherie serves up stuff like blackened shrimp with grit cakes and bread pudding. Everything on the menu is less than $20.
Whoa, here we go. Nice.
What I have coming, though, is smoked ham hock with red beans, charred radish, and chicken hearts. Unbelievably good. Oh, yeah, and macaroni and cheese casserole, because, well, one must.
Whoa, and whoa, okay.
Davis is doing the Louisiana pig with turnips, cabbage, pickled peaches, and cracklins. A boucherie on a plate.
Crackling.
Crackling, I think that puts it over the edge. Wow, that's a beautiful dish.
And turnip. We just don't have enough turnip in our diet.
I agree.
And it really just took all of this pig flavor, and it's just holding it and transmitting it, and yet it's still a turnip.
This is a very cool, first of all, this is a really cool menu. You know, his whole philosophy of food is really cool. And it's not over the top.
No.
No, there's not like a big wad of foie gras on it. It's not like rubbing it in your face. But it's,
there's no foam or there's nothing molecular about it.
What original, uniquely American cuisines are there? Unique.
Creole cuisine comes from here.
It is the only.
It is not African. It is not.
Creole and Cajun cuisine for most of our history was the only specific to American mutation.
Right.
Man, that's good.
One cannot, repeat, cannot go to New Orleans and not see some live music. The Maple Leaf uptown is what a New Orleans club is all about. This place was one of the first to reopen after Katrina with an emotional performance powered by generator by legendary local bluesman Walter Wolfman Washington. It's always good here, no matter who's playing. This place is great, but if the Rebirth Brass Band is playing, do not miss it, or else you're pretty much missing the point of New Orleans. Play here every Tuesday. If you just ain't gonna be here on a Tuesday and can't be here, you can try, One-Eyed Jacks for 80s night. Yup, spend your evening regretting your pants choices and haircut in that terrible, terrible decade. Jack's is in an old movie theater converted into a music venue. It looks like a whorehouse, and its seating plan and easy access to alcohol sort of invite people to fall onto each other, but hey, there's the fun. There's also the terrific Tipitina's, which has live music nearly every night of the week. Dedicated to piano legend Professor Longhair and named after one of his songs, this is one of the best spots to catch local and national acts from across the full spectrum of music. Tips, as they call the place, is well worth the cab ride on almost any given night. But Rebirth Brass Band, that's a must.
One of the bad things I see tourists do when they come down here is they're just not friendly. Everybody's willing to say hello, give you a hug, give you a kiss on the cheek, thank you for coming down here, and sometimes they're a little bit reserved. What New Orleans has that no other city has is just its uniqueness. It's the architecture, it's the music, it's the people, it's the food. You can go other cities and they'll try to implement what we do and it just doesn't work because you have to be part of the soul of what we have down here in New Orleans.
Breakfast? I have heard of this meal. Perhaps I shall try some.
You have to cross the bridge and you go east. And there's two huge Vietnamese communities. One's on the West Bank, the other's in New Orleans East.
John Besh, chef, champion of Gulf cuisine. Born in Mississippi and raised in southern Louisiana, he's the owner of acclaimed restaurants August, Luke, Domenica, and Born, among others.
Here we are, nothing but the best neighborhoods for you, baby.
This is going to be good. I can tell already.
Pho Tao Bay opened in 1982, and it's named after a pho shop in Saigon where the owner used to hang during the Vietnam War. He met the love of his life in the owner's daughter, and after the fall of Saigon in 1975, moved the entire family to the States. It takes 8 hours to make their authentic pho broth, and the recipe has never been written down.
That's the smell of happiness, actually.
This is awesome. I love this place.
Why do you think that everywhere you go, chefs hold clandestine meetings at Vietnamese restaurants?
I think we gravitate towards this food. You're tasting all these big flavors all the time. It's what we do. And so you need big, bold, but you don't want the impact. You don't want to eat.
You don't want fat.
You don't want the richness of it.
We start with an order of nem nong quan, summer rolls filled with barbecue pork, carrots, lettuce, and rice noodles.
Dig in.
So, how many restaurants now? 9?
I have 9 restaurants.
All in the New Orleans area? Why haven't you opened in New York, Montreal, Toronto? You've been asked, right?
I have, but it was Hurricane Katrina hit and it changed everything for me. It changed, prior to the storm, August was about winning awards, having my name in the, in the newspaper. In a way, it's just really all about me just cooking for my ego. Then, after the storm, it really became a quest to rebuild, make a difference, do good where we can. There were a lot of national chains that pulled out of New Orleans, which vacated all these, the gorgeous downtown that we have. And so I saw an ability to grow, elevating the people that came back to help bail my ass out.
You know everybody you're doing business with, too.
Yeah.
So it's personal.
And I love them.
When it comes to the main course, John has his usual, the pho dak biet, beef combo with tendon and tripe. I order bun bo hue, Central Vietnamese spicy pork and beef served in fish stock with large rice noodles.
Oh, no, that's beautiful.
Look at that.
Not in the mood for pho, you say? Well, I pity you, but I can help. Satsuma Cafe in the Bywater is good for fresh juices and its breakfast sandwiches. So if like beet and lime juice is what you need to accompany, say, egg, spinach, and cheese croissant, well, this could be the place for you. Hippie. Or there's Achafalaya, located uptown. The shrimp and grits are amazing. Head on, fresh as all get out with a spicy, bacony sauce. For Sunday brunch, there's music. And this is probably the one city in the world where music with your brunch can be a good thing. But pho will do me just fine.
Coming down here, there was a kid on my plane. He just left Gramercy Tavern and he was coming down here to work. That's not the way it's supposed to work.
I do see a much more progressive New Orleans being built. I see people now moving to New Orleans for the purpose of making it a better place. How is it?
Oh, it's good.
After a healthy breakfast, I find it difficult to resist a low-rent cheese ball training drink for future binge drinkers.
Going out for a few minutes, Mom. Going down to the daiquiri store.
New Orleans Original Daiquiris. 16 flavors of judgment-impairing, standard-lowering goodness. And you get a huge drink. Good enough to get you a DUI in any state in the union for under $10. And that's value.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Tough decision. What's a house special?
The house special is 190 proof liquor. It has rums, it has orange juice, pineapple juice.
And I don't want to be like operating power tools or driving a high-performance vehicle after that. That sounds good to me. House special.
Fruity, frothy, freezy, and delicious. You can hardly taste the alcohol. I mean, it's perfect because, like, let's say you don't like the taste of alcohol, you know, and you're 21 and you're looking for a way to become an alcoholic. This would be your sort of like training wheels. So where's the guidebook? It is said that in New Orleans, the dead outnumber the living. I'm pretty sure that's true everywhere. Tennessee Williams, A Streetcar Named Desire, is based on a real... This is not so interesting. Tennessee Williams choked to death on a bottle cap at the Hotel Elysee in New York. Now, that's interesting. The Layover Mansion, said to be one of the most haunted places in New Orleans, the home of a former serial killer and murderer. That house now belongs to actor Nicolas Cage. It is illegal to rob a bank and then shoot at the bank teller with a water pistol. I would imagine so. I think that's illegal everywhere. Rituals that involve the ingestion of blood, urine, or fecal matter are not allowed. Really? No ingestion of blood, urine, or fecal matter? Some people have air guitar. There are air sex world championships here. You know, for a fascinating city like New Orleans, this is some pretty weak here. Where'd you get this? www.screaminglyobviouswitless.com? And you can get your own copy of this. Look. Empty book with tragically the glued-in pages that some sad intern from the office has gathered from the internet in between scoring narcotics for our production team. Ice cream headache. My daughter would love this. Ow.
New Yorkers, y'all got nothing on the po' boy. You gotta come to New Orleans to get a po' boy.
A real po' boy.
A real po' boy, yes.
Now, what are we talking about? A po' boy is French bread, cut in the middle, at least 8 to 12 inches long.
Lettuce, tomato, pickles.
And most of us will have seafood, but also it has some great meats and all that sort of stuff. Fantastic food.
The Faubourg Marigny is a neighborhood just below or downriver from the French Quarter. And many say it feels like the Quarter used to.
My definition of a great city is a place you can walk and discover stuff. Frenchman Street and the Marigny has that now.
Lola Selly is an author, journalist, filmmaker, and a fellow writer on the HBO series Treme. He's written and co-produced a documentary on the subject of Faubourg Treme, the untold story of Black New Orleans for PBS, and is basically a walking chronicle on the subject of his city.
Watermelon cocktail looking good.
This bar attached to the Royal Street Inn is known to locals as simply the R Bar, my kind of place. The bartenders, as in most good bars, know their subject, know their town, and have something to say.
Do you know about the fact that in 1850, 40% of the city was owned by free women of color? Do you know these things that created the city that you love?
They also act as front desk for the hotel upstairs. But good luck getting help with the bags.
Cheers, by the way.
Cheers.
What distinguishes a local from a visitor as far as casual bar behavior?
The main thing is we drink to have a good time. Drinking is not the end.
Right.
Life is supposed to be fun. You don't have to turn off your senses in order to suddenly have fun.
Right. It's more of an endurance sport rather than a sprint.
Yeah, exactly.
The visitors are sprinters.
Yeah.
You want live music with your midday beverage? Over at Le Bon Temps Roulé uptown, there's usually live jazz, a brass band, and other local acts. Regulars hang all day playing pool in the front room, digging into oysters. Or you could head over to Three Muses Jazz Club on Frenchman Street, where you might well find Davis Rogan playing a set. I'm happy with a festive watermelon cocktail.
I think the fact that this city was founded and controlled by Catholics is crucial to our whole identity of who we are. You know, the Protestant idea is do not sin. Let's not even talk about what happens if you do, because you're not going to. The Catholic
Yeah, bless me, Father, because I'm planning on getting really up tonight. I'm going home with a prostitute. We'll talk again tomorrow.
No, Tony, if you'd like to buy an indulgence, I know a nice priest down the street. You can buy an indulgence. You know?
I'm so for that. I would be a God-fearing man if we could go back to the good old days, pre-Reformation, where you could buy indulgences in advance, like a debit card. You could sort of stock up, and I think that would be completely awesome.
Good afternoon, sir. If we talk about creativity in the context of chefs, creativity is not merely, well, what can you do with foie gras that I didn't think of before? Creativity is what can you do with pig feet that I didn't think of before?
Yeah, look, the dishes that the poor used to have to eat or were byproducts of oppression or slavery, they're cherished now. It's a triumph of skill over circumstances. But also we need to be reminded times, where did we come from and what times were not always good.
Lunch in Bucktown. The place started as a string of fishing camps lining the 17th Street Canal and the lake.
All right, debris.
Best po' boy in New Orleans? I ain't making that argument. I'm not starting that discussion. All I can tell you is that R&O's is a seriously excellent version of the roast beef po' boy. An unlikely but near perfect combination of bread, beef, debris-flecked gravy, mayo, lettuce, and tomato.
But I mean, I think it is great, though. We finally realizing that places like this are important and great places for American food.
Now, we've been talking about debris and po' boys. I do not see the word po' boy or debris on this menu. And yet that's what we're having, and that's what they're famous for.
There's a distinction between the New Orleans restaurants that are sort of gearing themselves toward tourists, which is saying, okay, sir, this is where you find the things you've read about. And they're saying, look, we're for the local people, because you come here once a year.
So this restaurant is not a tourist mecca.
Lolis has ordered a full one. Me, I screwed the pooch with a half.
Lovely.
Did y'all need anything else?
No, I think we're good.
All right, y'all enjoy.
Thank you so much. All right, before anything, I got to get a picture of that beast. Look at that thing.
This is food for back when people working on the riverfront, doing physical labor. I cannot imagine doing this, eating this, and going back and sitting in front of the computer for a couple hours and working.
Oh, good Lord, that's good.
And the bread is toasted, which to me is one of the signatures.
Your choice of bread is so important. There's mayo in here, awesome, right? A little bit of overkill is a good thing here.
Good po' boys are not hard to find in New Orleans. Walker's Southern-style barbecue is home of the cochon de lait po' boy, or hickory-roasted suckling pig slathered with mustard slaw, which started out as street food during Jazz Fest, but has now become a regular brick-and-mortar go-to. Or just grab some fresh seafood at Big Fisherman Seafood on Magazine Street. You'd get ready-to-eat boiled crawfish, shrimp, or crabs. Eat out front or right in the park. Lax drinking laws might well allow you to enjoy a fine local beverage while you eat. I'm happy with this debris.
I'm beginning to wonder whether or not the debris is what they put on the sandwich.
Or whether it's what ends up on your plate.
Exactly. One thing I think we have here, you don't have as much in other food cities, is a dialogue between the fine dining chefs and the regular cooks in places like this.
It's weird because they all eat this.
Yeah.
They all love it. They all refer to it in their food.
They grew up on it, you know?
How is everything?
It's awesome beyond words. Wow. It is an unearthly good stuff, man. Wow. Damn.
Happy birthday, Louis Armstrong. Hello. My name is Jennifer Jones, and I'm the second line dance queen. Da, 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 da. One thing a tourist should not drink too much. Tourists think, oh, we're in New Orleans, we can let off, fly out. And you drink too much and you forget what you're doing. You wouldn't do that at home. And what we do in New Orleans is we take breaks. Go home, take a shower, start over, and come back. This is a 24/7 town in terms of drinking. You want to have water after each one. Consciousness. Be moderate. That's my tip.
I'm a pretty loyal guy. When I fall in love, I fall hard. And even if we part years later, there's still, chances are, love in my heart. And my love for this place dimly but fondly remembered from years ago, will last forever.
When I went there last, they had a legendary industry people, restaurant industry people drink for free if they're naked.
Really?
Yeah. If you dropped your clothes at the door, we're not talking about an attractive bunch of people either, cooks, line cooks off duty.
Well, when you go in there, usually you need your sunglasses because when you're coming out, it's usually sunlight.
Most cities, a place like that would never survive, The neighborhood or somebody would have figured out a way to shut it down.
Snake and Jake's, where it's Christmas every night of the year. Official hours are 7 p.m. to 7 a.m., but anything can happen. 21 is way too young for this place. Bartenders have been known to pass out. Customers blacking out is pretty much the norm. I love the place. It's a national treasure.
How you doing, man?
Donald and Steven join me for a beverage or two. It begins.
I'll have what he's having. I think maybe a Jaeger shot would be.
Yeah, after our own heart.
Yeah. Nothing has changed though for 11 years. This is clearly a menace to society.
That's why I haven't been here in a while. I'm too old for this.
Yeah. This is what cocaine teaches a person. If you hear the birds cheeping as you head home or as you're laying in bed, you've made a basic mistake. Cheers. To survival.
Cheers.
When I first came here, I asked Tony, who was, I guess, that then partner, when do you close? And he said, when she passes out. And I believe she did. Just suddenly the eyes rolled up in her head, but it was late, The first time in recorded history, I plan to leave this place in a state of verticality.
This will be my first time, too.
All right, so Kingpin?
Kingpin.
At some point, we wisely decide to adjourn to the Kingpin before something truly awful happens. Watch the Saints on TV, play a little shuffleboard, everything will be fine.
Oh, I needed that. I'm liking your air conditioning a lot. So why this place?
To me, this bar is just right. When you look at New Orleans bars, you've got the tourist bars, you got the college bars, and then there's not much left for the locals.
Right. You need a little place for yourself.
You need a place for yourself, and I think this bar is a place for us.
Right, so if you're watching this on TV and you're planning on behaving in a douche-like fashion, this would not be someplace you should come.
That's really the beauty of drinking in New Orleans. People outside of the French Quarter just really don't tolerate douchey drinking activity. If you're they'll chase you out. Yeah.
Of course, we could have gone bowling, but after Snake and Jake's, that didn't seem like a good idea. At Rock and Bowl, you can dance, drink, pray, listen to live music, and oh yeah, bowl. Zydeco is the focus, but all sorts of bands play here.
Something that's missing from my life, actually, is I need an old man bar, a place where I can go drink at 4 o'clock in the afternoon in my neighborhood. A respectable gentleman of my years can enjoy an anonymous beer with a bunch of elderly alcoholics who don't give a who I am. I don't have this in my life. I need this in my life.
But this is like an old man bar, but better.
It's a middle-aged bar.
It's like the bar I'm talking about, but the customers still have bladder control, which is important. Cheers. Cheers.
New Orleans is your dream, and you don't even know it yet.
It's like another country in the United States.
The architecture, the music for me. I love the live music in New Orleans.
Good times, great food, great music, and great alcohol.
We're back, and not only are we back, but we're going to be the greatest city in the world, and I guarantee that.
All right, tacos, gentlemen.
Parked just outside Kingpin, and just when I need it, is one of the few food trucks in New Orleans. The superbly awesome Taco Loco, owned by Alex Del Castillo. Because they're protective of their restaurant culture, the city has made it tough on food trucks. There are strict rules on where they can and cannot sell. So even though just about every chef in town loves this place and eats here regularly, they're here and nowhere else every Friday night. Already named one of the top 20 food trucks in the nation by Smithsonian Magazine, Taco Loco has a creative-sounding menu of shocking deliciousness.
But I'm going to go with the South in your mouth. I'm comfortable with ordering that.
South in your mouth is what Leonard Skinner used to suggest to groupies, I thought, but no. Pork belly taco with Maker's Mark chipotle and charred jalapenos.
And we have our homemade habanero over there if you like it really hot, but wash your hands before you cook.
Right. Yeah, that's a lesson I learned early.
Donald gets the messin' with Texas. Smoky shreds of brisket with fresh cabbage, radish, and cilantro.
Amazingly delicious.
Yeah. Well, some people are like, are these traditional Mexican? We're like, no, this is New Orleans in a taco shell.
And I have also to try Woke Up in Oaxaca with eggs, chorizo, and cheese.
Wow, that's incredibly delicious. That would be my everyday. The Texan would be my drunk ass.
Yeah, and this is
early in the evening, in a state of relative sobriety, I would eat this.
We could, of course, have gone over to the Clover Grill on Bourbon Street, a retro-style diner serving up burgers and eggs with hash browns. Locals seem to love it. But I'm happy here, even with the reptiles.
Hey, look, your little brother's right here. Well, you were single-handedly a persuasive argument for the food truck as a source of enlightenment. Really delicious. Well, gentlemen, I think we've learned something tonight. We've learned that it is possible to make it through a night of savage drinking and eating and still leave with a... I was gonna say with a little dignity.
New Orleans is a glorious mutation. The South, but not quite the South. America, but weirder and more fun. It's where so much that is good and glorious and unique about America was born. Unlike anywhere else. It sounds different, behaves different, tastes different. And like a great meal or a good bourbon, it's something to be savored.